Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. My name is Casey Lou Waiters, and I am the podcast manager at Goody Nation. And you are tuned into Why Relationships Matter in the Innovation Economy. And so, what is this podcast? Who is Goody Nation? Why do we do it? So, Goody Nation is an organization that exists to bridge the relationship gap between promising founders in the innovation space, in the social entrepreneurship space. And we do that in several different ways through formal programs, cohort style learning, coaching, opportunities for folks to learn more about what's going on in the industry. And we look at founders and VCs and coaches, not just as like businesses, but as people who have nuanced experiences that we love to share with you all. So, Why Relationships Matter is a podcast that helps us to learn more about some of these dope people and how the relationships that they've built with mentors, friends, colleagues have helped to influence their journey in the innovation economy. And so today we have an amazing guest. We have Kylan Kester, who has experience in so many facets of this innovation space. And we're so excited to talk to him, a friend of Goody Nation. And I just want to welcome you to the program today.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me, and you're welcome to call me Kai as well.
Oh, I appreciate that, Kai. And so, Kai, I guess just to start off with, you are just an influential person in the space, but I'm curious to know how you got here. What is your professional origin story? What were the sort of the influential moments or people that helped you to know that you wanted to be in this space?
Sure thing. Yeah, and thanks again for allowing me to share. I'd say that, my origin story, it starts with most of my experience coming here to Atlanta. I moved to Atlanta almost 10 years ago from Jacksonville, Florida. I'd say although the Sunshine State might have nurtured my roots, Atlanta's vibrant energy allowed me to truly flourish. My own personal launch pad was at Morehouse College, where I received my business administration degree with a concentration in marketing. Federal loans fueled my education, but my hustle started early. To sustain myself through college, I worked remotely as a digital marketing project manager for marketing agencies, which gave me a taste of marketing tech and the world of entrepreneurship. But Morehouse wasn't just about academics for me. I'd say I went through 4 incredible study abroad experiences, which broadened my horizons. I was one of the first Apple HBCU scholars from Morehouse College, and I interned at Apple in Silicon Valley. And I gained invaluable experience and the confidence to dream bigger. By my senior year, the entrepreneurial bug had well and truly bitten me. And as I was seeking resources to launch my own venture, a marketing agency focused on go-to-market for early stage founders, I'd say fate intervened. Through a chance encounter with a Startup Atlanta board member, I got a pivotal role at Startup Atlanta as the community coordinator. This became the perfect springboard for me, immersing myself in the city's startup ecosystem, analyzing its strengths and weaknesses, and determined to contribute to its growth. I'd say on my graduation day in 2019, I had an unforgettable experience as our commencement speaker, Robert F. Smith, made the announcement that he was going to eliminate our student debt. This was life-changing, but I'd say his challenge to pay it forward resonated even deeper. Now debt-free, I dove headfirst into the nonprofit world, working full-time at Startup Atlanta, which exposed me to the awesome work at with Joey at Goody Nation and Atlanta Black Tech. In parallel, I also embarked on a challenging yet rewarding career in strategy consulting at Accenture. I tackled projects that spanned across nonprofits, universities, startups, and Fortune 100 companies, which really helped me sharpen my saw. My Morehouse family didn't stray far away. In 2021, I also got contact from my former entrepreneurship professor, Dr. Tiffany Bassi, who entrusted me with a remarkable mission to build Morehouse College's first student entrepreneurship program. From a dedicated space in our leadership center on campus to a Blackstone Charitable Foundation-backed fellowship, we started with empowering 6 student entrepreneurs across diverse academic disciplines and industries, from sustainable tech to fashion, film, education, and even food and beverage. And this year, we celebrated 25 program graduates, fostering a vibrant community of over 50 student entrepreneurs who juggle building businesses while they're studying at Morehouse. These experiences, encompassing Startup Atlanta, Accenture, Morehouse, culminated into my role currently at Google for Startups as the program coordinator. And now I shepherd resources, funding, technical assistance, mentorship, and even mental health support for a community of nearly 300 Black and Latino-led startups. As a first this year, we're also launching the AI Academy for American Infrastructure, which empowers AI-enabled startups that are fueling the American economy with Google AI experts and research. I'd say my commitment hasn't ended there. I balance my roles at Google for Startups and Launchpad at Morehouse. And I currently sit on the board for Startup Atlanta, which was like a full circle moment for me and allowed me to give back while honing my expertise as an innovation and entrepreneurship consultant. And the journey has been incredible. With a debt-free head start and the power of paying it forward, I've also been able to support startups as an investor at Backstage Capital, as well as in an angel investor at Black Angel Group. And today I'm actively committed to helping shape a more inclusive and thriving entrepreneurial landscape for others to thrive.
Kai, first of all, I remember that Morehouse graduation moment, also HBCU grad, and I remember seeing like the elation of the graduating class
Yeah,
upon learning that their debt would be forgiven. And you were in that class, and
yeah,
you took that sort of pay it forward moment to then dive right into paying it forward for so many other people. And
yeah,
that's amazing. I mean, the types of organizations that you're working with, that you previously worked with, they are huge on building ecosystems for underrepresented founders. And
absolutely.
so I'm just curious more about like how this work fuels you,
Yeah,
how relationship building in these spaces is sort of like how you use relationship building in these spaces
yeah,
to continue to further not only your own career, but you said you're an angel investor, you help other
mhm,
startup founders. What uh, so much you just said, so
yeah.
much, and my mind is blown. But
Well,
yes,
thank you.
how does relationship building factor into all the things that you do?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I'd say, a lot of what I'm working on now, all of the different projects that I've been involved in have been a direct result of relationships that I've been building along my career. From the work that I was able to do while I was at Startup Atlanta and just going out and meeting folks within the ecosystem, getting to learn the startup ecosystem, to keeping and maintaining relationships with my professors at Morehouse, which ended up helping me get the role that I had to kind of start the launch pad at Morehouse. And all of those really great relationships actually helped me build a closer to connection to Joey. And so when this opportunity came up at Google for Startups, he recommended me and also gave me really great support with getting onboarded. And so it's been really great to see a lot of the relationships that are fostered. And a lot of the times there wasn't an ask that came immediately. It was just, let me share what I'm working on, let me show what I'm doing and how I can kind of add value. And when the time comes right or when the opportunity makes itself available, I would love to just jump on and be available. I'd say, some of the really pivotal relationships that I have include folks like Noelle London, who was at Invest Atlanta at the time, but now she's a founder at a startup called Illuminous. Adam Harrell, who is the board president, as well as Jen Singh and Evan, who I also, Evan Jarecki, who also were on the board at Startup Atlanta's president as well. And then also at Morehouse, I mentioned Dr. Tiffany Bussey already. Miss Bonita Moore has also been really helpful in a really great relationship that I've had as well, and just making sure that we get everything that we need to get sorted for the program. And then, Joey and the really great community at Goody Nation and Atlanta Black Tech has always kind of embraced me, pulled me in for different support areas like speaking or moderating panels or coming and just taking part in the event and kind of showing up and connecting with others. And so I'd say that you're just leaning into those types of opportunities that come up, finding ways to add value first, and then continuing to foster those relationships, even if there isn't an immediate ask.
Amazing. And so I'm curious, you mentioned in your role at Google for Startups that mental health is an emphasis for the
Yeah,
founders in that program. And as a self proclaimed introvert who also has sort of an extroverted job,
yeah,
you just said you moderate panels, you go to events, you go do this, you got to talk to these stakeholders. How do you take care of yourself? This is like talking about your relationship with
yeah,
your own wellness, and you have to be people facing and hear
yeah,
people's not only the highs but the lows of being a founder and their journeys. Like, what is your relationship to your own mental health and wellness as you
yeah.
are pursuing this work?
That's a great question. I am always working on it. I've done, counseling and coaching as well, just to kind of continue to sharpen my saw. And so that's something I would always advise to folks that want to find a way to kind of figure out strategies to help them manage that mental health component of it. But I'd say, I try my best to keep a good balance between the different hats that I wear with work and truly having like a personal life that helps me separate myself from my work identity. And so I have a great group, a small, tight knit group of friends that I hang out with frequently, and we just have time to like have fun. We'll go to concerts, or we'll go to different events that are happening here, visit DJ sets, and just get fun in. So that way, we're not always, focused in on work. And then in addition to that, I have a dog. He keeps me busy. He's in the background as we speak, just like waiting for a moment for me to show him some attention. But he's just been really great for me to just have a sense of responsibility, and then also feel like I'm responsible for something other than myself. And so I think that those are some of the things that keep me mentally grounded. And I take vacations frequently. So yeah, I'm definitely a proponent of taking time off just to reset and recharge so that you can come back fully charged and ready to show up. Because I too am an introvert. Being kind of like either on a beach somewhere by myself with a book is like ideal. But I love working with people. So, it's something where I get to live that vicariously through my work career.
No, I just think that's so important. I think that, yes, I need to embrace more of your take a vacation mentality, because yes, that helps to be a better person, both personally and professionally. And so you mentioned that through your experiences that you have now become an investor and a VC and an angel investor. And so I'm curious, what were some of the important relationships or even mentorship that helped you to go into that space? Because it's a space, a lot of folks in the innovation economy we hear about, and like we're trying to find those people. But for those out there listening who want to perhaps go into being VCs or angel investors themselves, what were some of the tips or the advice that you received from others before you entered the space?
Yeah. So I'd say there were a few different things. One, I just wanted to be an investor because not only was I super impressed with Robert F. Smith and his background as an investor after our commencement, but also I saw that there was a lot of power in economically empowering other entrepreneurs. And as I've been in the ecosystem, meeting different founders and different companies, the main common theme that I had found, especially at that time, which was like 2019, 2020, everyone was fundraising, everyone was having trouble finding funding, and especially if they were founders of color. And so one of the things that I wanted to do was move a needle in that. And I kind of sought out different resources, training programs from things like Black VC to HBCU VC. And I've even like went out the way to kind of meet up with different investors that I was really impressed by, which was what ultimately led into me investing into Backstage Capital. I had an opportunity to meet Arlen Hamilton, while I was actually doing the program for Launchpad at Morehouse. We were able to bring 6 of our fellows to Silicon Valley for them to experience Startup Grind, which is a large tech conference that happens there every year. And Arlen was one of the speakers. And so she also had an opportunity to meet the fellows. And I think that inspiration in itself was really helpful for me because we got to see firsthand how she shows up for the founders that she works with. And that was kind of what confirmed for me. I feel like that I wanted to kind of show up for founders in this way as an investor as well. And then fast forward to when I got my role at Google, I got to connect with the wonderful folks, Jason Scott, in the Black Angel Group. And it's been really great and awesome to see that they show up in more ways than it just shows up as financial capital. They also, the whole group as a collective, we provide social capital. We also support with knowledge, human capital. And so there's different ways that you can also show up and invest in some of these companies. And whether it's been a mentorship or an advisor relationship or investing direct dollars into companies, it's been really cool and interesting to see the types of companies that are continuing to grow, and the type of companies that are out here that need the support as well.
Amazing. And so my final question for you, I mean, Atlanta is just growing in terms of all the things, the innovation economy proper. We have entertainment and film, and just there's just so much happening here that I'll speak maybe for myself. Like it feels like it could be overwhelming sometimes to
Yeah.
even know where to start. It's like, do I go to every happy hour and mixer? Do I go to every panel? Do I go to every workshop? For you, for someone, say they just moved here, they're a founder, they want to kind of start, getting their feet wet in the innovation space here. Do you have any advice to that theoretical newbie? Or maybe there's someone actually listening who's like, oh, yeah, this is for me. I need to know this. What should they do in terms of starting genuine relationship building with the folks in Atlanta? Are there any,
Yeah.
you're a part of a bajillion groups, but like, are there any groups here, like, make sure you check this out, or
Yeah.
make sure you do this or don't do this? Any advice for newer founders here in the Atlanta innovation economy?
Yeah, I'd say there are two main tentpole events that happen here in Atlanta that, if you're trying to get involved in the startup ecosystem, I would definitely advise you get involved with these different events. The first being is happening as we speak. Atlanta Tech Week is happening this week. And essentially there are different workshops, events, different concerts even that are happening this week in tandem with Render ATL, which is a huge development conference in the startup ecosystem here in Atlanta. And so though that's the spring tentpole event, and then in fall, the fall tentpole event would be InnovateTL. And that also is in partnership with Goody Nation's Intentionally Good Summit as well as Venture Atlanta. And so I would definitely advise checking out those events, showing up in those spaces, and leading up to these events or in between these events, I would advise checking out resources like Startup Atlanta's Guide to the Ecosystem. There you can find a number of different categories, everywhere from programs and resources that are available to education and career opportunities to even funding and all of the investors that are here. And the reason I say to check that guide out specifically is because it'll kind of help you prioritize areas where you might want to focus either on development, for example, or fundraising or building your team. And once you kind of prioritize what it is that you want to do, then I would advise starting to go through the guide, identifying organizations that can help you achieve that, and going through LinkedIn and identifying folks that would be good points of contact at those organizations and build relationships that way, either through coffee chats, virtual one-on-one calls. I like the in-person experience a little bit better with meeting with folks, just because you never know like what you have in common with people. But the Guide to the Startup Ecosystem is another really great resource. We also host the Atlanta Startup Awards with Startup Atlanta. And so that's a huge event. We would love to get tons of really great nominations, but also it's a great way to connect and plug in with folks that are helping build the startup ecosystem here. For folks that are also interested in ecosystem building, we do things at Startup Atlanta called ecosystem community partner lunches. That's a great way to come and share what you're working on and find other areas or ways to collaborate or support other initiatives that are happening in the entrepreneurial ecosystem. And then, yeah, just like stay close to the media. I love all the resources that we have focused on covering the startup ecosystem here, everywhere from Hypopotamus to Atlanta NO. I even say I peruse Goody Nation's blog frequently, just to see the updates on the founders. They do really great caps of the new folks that are here in the city. And so Goody Nation, in addition to their blog, but their entire community is also a really great touch point. If you want to connect with me, we also do a collaboration with ATL Black Tech called Community Dinners. And essentially, I'm a dinner captain, and we host dinners every first Thursday of every month, with the exception of this month or upcoming month, July, because it falls on the 4th of July. But starting in August, again, we'll continue those community dinners. And those are opportunities for folks in the ATL Black Tech community specifically to come together, break bread, share community, and then also share areas of support or areas that they can also offer support. And so, yeah, I think that those are some of the initial touch points. But then also I will, advise, reaching out and connecting. I'm glad to personally understand or see what your goals are. And if there are folks that are in my network, I'm glad to kind of foster those warm introductions that might help you get to what you're trying to achieve.
Oh my goodness, you just dropped like all the gems. Even I should have been taking notes like, I didn't even know about that myself. That's amazing. And so if someone did want to connect with you, if they are like, oh, okay, yeah, all right, I've done all the things. I went to the events. I figured out who I think I need to have my first coffee meeting with, but I'm not sure yet. What's the best way for them to contact you?
Yeah, I'm pretty easy to find on LinkedIn, Kylan Kester, and I think my name is already written up here somewhere. And then also you can connect with me on social media, but most of it's not work. So like if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn or Instagram, I'm by Kylan at BYKYLAN.
Amazing. Well, I know, again, I just learned a lot, and I want to take some of what you just said to help strategize for myself.
I love
And
it.
so I'm hoping that the folks who are listening today also can get just like a few of those gems and say, oh, I didn't know about that event. I didn't know about that
Love it.
organization. I didn't know about that resource. And this could potentially be that thing that they needed, that just that one small thing,
Absolutely.
that piece of advice to take them to the next level in their founder journey. So I want to thank you so much, Kylan, or Kai. So I guess I can call you Kai now.
It's okay.
Thank you so much for coming on Why Relationships Matter in the Innovation Economy today. And I would just like to end with our quote by Joey Womack, Goody Nation founder, who always likes to leave us with stay magnetic and outwork yesterday.
I
Thank
love
you for
it.
listening.
Thank you for having me.